Welcome to Point of View of Change. I'm your host, Derick, and this is our guest,
Mr. Incredible.
Mr. Incredible. Tell us about yourself first before we get into the interview. Tell who you are today.
Well, I'm a health coach, right? Meaning that I do personal training. Um, I'm very big in nutrition. I'm a company called Herbalife. Also is a company that I really work with and I'm in partnership with. And I just focus on changing lives. I'm a poet, and also I do a lot of other things, but
A man of many talents.
many things. But more importantly, man, I'm just a motivator.
Motivated, yeah. People need motivation. Okay. Um, so we're talking about change, and this is who you are today. But let's take us back to how you started, because you haven't always been like this. So I want to touch on the fact that you went to jail. How long did you were incarcerated for?
I was incarcerated for 8 years and 5 months.
8 years, 5 months. All right. So prior to that incarceration, can you talk to us about your mindset that you had prior to getting into jail?
My mindset is that I was just focused on trying to prove myself, and that was really like through violence, to be respected, to be feared. Um, yeah,
Prove yourself to who?
to my community, where I lived at, it was, we were big on the gang violence. So I really wanted to prove myself to my community at that time.
What gang were you in?
Crips, I was a part of the Crips.
Crips is popular now. Back then.
I guess, I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Completely. All right. So now, from being in the streets, getting different things, you got incarcerated. Now, when you got incarcerated, what was your mind state going once you got to Rikers Island, right?
Yes.
Rikers. What was your mind state? Walk us through that. You got into Rikers. How was you thinking? You don't got to go step by step, but
Well, I had a very big case, and my thoughts was like, life is over. It's just about being as violent as I can be. I was a smaller guy, so it's like, okay, I'm gonna be as violent as I can be, and I'm gonna see how fast I can gain muscle, because I've heard so many stories about Rikers Island. So I had already a mindset that I had to be super violent when I get there.
Yeah, you talk about you being a smaller guy. I've never seen you smaller. You have pictures of you being a smaller guy?
Yeah, I got pictures. We at the time, being in jail, we work out so much,
Yeah.
so you end up not being that small anymore.
Okay,
But
so
yeah.
you came in with the violent mind state that I got to do what you got to do to survive. I'm here. This is
Right.
what it is in here. So you got sentenced. They send you up north. You still had that mind state. Oh, when did that mind state begin to change?
Oh, that's a great question. It was an accumulation of things. The mind state, my mind state at the moment wasn't like, didn't just drastically change just in like one sitting, right?
Yeah.
It was this multitude of things that created that. So one is like, I was tired of my mom crying on the visit floor, right? For months and months, coming to see me on Rikers Island, she kept crying and crying and crying.
Every visit?
For every visit. It was
hard.
almost like a year.
That's hard.
And having to deal with that, and I tried to deny the visit, but she's like, "You better not deny my visit," because I couldn't deal with it. That was one, and then the next thing was I started to realize while I was working out that it started to make me patient. It started to make me humble, because I noticed that muscle wasn't an overnight thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? So as I started to work out, I had to be patient for my muscles.
Yeah.
So automatically, because I was building patience in that area, when it came to like being impulsive, when it came to being violent with others, I was able to think.
Yeah.
Right, because I'm like, now for some reason I was just thinking more.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I didn't just move impulsively anymore.
Yeah.
So I think that's what also helped. So the accumulation of that, my mom suffering, and just watching like, the violence amongst each other, opposite gang members. I'm like, I just don't like you because of a color, but I like you as a person.
Yeah.
Right? And I started realizing that
Absolutely,
became
like
a
that too.
situation for me constantly. So with that, I was like, you know what? This is just not for me.
Yeah. I had that same obstacle when I was incarcerated too, that maybe not so much the gang. I didn't like you because you were the same color, you had the same color as me, but I didn't like you. But it was more so like a neighborhood thing. Like, oh, wow, you're from this neighborhood. when I was home, I never liked you from that neighborhood.
Right.
But in jail, like, yo, you're very cool. Like, you're a good guy. Like, oh, wow. So I can attest to that. So what made you start working out though? Did you do it just because you're there, boredom, whatever?
Oh, I just want to be more violent.
You want to have more mass. So you started working on Rikers?
Rikers Island.
Oh, so you've been, but then that working out led to just a patient thinking.
Yeah.
Unbeknownst to you.
Yeah, unbeknownst to me, it's like I became more patient during the journey.
Okay, so now that when you first recognized this new form of patientness, now what made you decide? Was there a time when you decided like, I want to do something different with my life when I get out?
Really, even though I was building that patience, I didn't really confirm that decision until I was sentenced.
Okay.
Reason why is because I felt like it was crazy, but I felt like there was no hope, right? Because my case was so big at the time. I felt like there was no hope. So I'm like, if there's not gonna be no hope, then I'm not gonna really change. But if there's gonna be hope, then I can confirm this change.
Okay.
And then just reading too also helped me with that.
What'd you read?
Mindset. Well, I read a lot of books. You know, the first couple books is the Malcolm X books. You know, 48 Laws of Power, little things like that.
Think and Grow.
Think and Grow Rich.
Rich Dad,
Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So little things like that made a difference.
Okay. And reading you think helped you as well. Okay. So when you came up north or upstate, and then you decided to say, now it's hope. I know I'm leaving. I got to make a change. We got to do things different. When did that happen? When do you think that happened, or what kind of influenced that a little bit? Did you immediately go to say I'm about to be into personal fitness, or you had something else in mind first?
I really just I just wanted to come home.
Yeah.
So I didn't really have I didn't say I was gonna be a personal trainer. I didn't know what I really was gonna do. But like I said, just knowing that I had hope.
Yeah.
And and then I'm like, at the end of the day, man, I was just tired of my mom struggling. Yeah. Right. If you're loyal to anybody, that should be the person you should be loyal to the most. I felt so. With that being said, it was like, man, are you gonna call it quits and really step your game up? And especially now you have hope and you can really prove to this person like I'm worth it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying the investment is worth it. So yeah.
Okay. What obstacles do you think you face while incarcerated that might have kind of like you had to really dodge to get to where you are, or to get to where you went when you came home?
The obstacles really was like people understanding the change. A lot of times in jail. Okay. Yeah. So a lot of times when you're incarcerated and you come from a specific lifestyle, it's hard for people to understand change. You know what I mean? So that was really the obstacle. So, sometimes you have former gang members. It's like, hey, what's up? Even like with the Crips, if that was the Crips, your own Crip, like, hey, what's up? You're not, or it might be a person that was the opposition. If it was a blood, whatever it is, they couldn't understand the change. Yeah. So it was like sometimes they still see me as the old me. And there's a few times I had to have these difficult conversations. Like, there is no old me. There is no coming back. I'm not jeopardizing.
No going back, right?
Exactly. So that was the only real obstacle. Besides that, people will challenge you once in a while to also see if you still got it, right? Yeah. But since you're not doing this anymore, like you by yourself now.
You're a punk.
You're a punk now. Yeah. So but I started to realize that, man, with every decision you have to wait.
You have to what?
You have to wait.
Wait. Oh, wait.
Yeah, you have to weigh your decisions. So, I always put it on a scale and like, what is it worth? Yeah. And that's what really helped me.
I think that skill that you have right there is also a skill that I have, and maybe a lot of us that were incarcerated have. And I think that kind of really helps us today in the world, because those are things that people lash out for and get really chaotic for. It's like it's not that serious. We understand like this is gonna lead to that. This is not that. Just relax, slow down. We have that right there. Because jail is full of hurry up and wait. Like everything's rushed away, rushed away. Okay, so is it just people that you had problems with in jail? Would it have been like What about the correction officers or the staff, or not problems, but like obstacles? Did you think they cared about a change, helped with your change, or they wasn't even in your way? You was just
You know, I feel like, sometimes with correctional officers, people of authority, they have this preconceived notion of who we are, right? And because we come from totally two different backgrounds, like I'm upstate New York, and most of them are mostly European people,
yeah,
and they're not used to the environment, they're not used to the language, they're not used to the way we carry ourselves. So automatically, it's hard to be a person you trying to be when people don't understand you from who you are.
yeah.
You get what I'm saying? From where you're coming from. So a lot of times those are little crashes that we had with authorities. Like, I dress a certain way, I carry myself a certain way. Automatically, you might feel like, oh, he's probably one of the gang members. And
Yeah.
let's search him.
Yeah.
Or I talk to somebody,
Talking to
automatically
people.
you categorize me. So little things like that, because even though when I changed, I never isolated myself from anybody.
Yeah, okay.
Right? Because I respect that everybody changes different and time is different. So sometimes that was the problem I would have with authorities. It's like, if you change, why are you still cool with X, Y, Z?
And that's exactly how they look at it too. Why are you still talking to them if you're not?
Exactly.
Yeah, if you're not with them.
Mm-hmm.
Did you work while you were there?
Oh yeah, I did. ILC, I think it's called, Inmate Liaison Committee.
Yes.
Because like I said, because I was able to communicate well with authority and also with my own peers. I felt like that was a position for me, so I could speak out because I felt like there's a lot of things that we needed.
Yeah.
And then I did like,
quick breakdown on the inmate liaison committee. So it's basically the middleman between inmates and the staff, the correction officers, the people in charge of the jail, superintendent. And inmates come to you with complaints, you go to the higher ups with them, and some sort of resolution happens. People that really don't.
Sometimes.
No. Supposed to be. That's what's supposed to happen. Yeah. What really happens and what's supposed to happen. All right. Yeah. What really happens though? Tell us what really happens when you bring them a complaint. Yes. There's no hot water on the second floor.
Sometimes they remind you like who you are at the end of the day. Like,
jail.
Yeah. Listen. All right, we get you like this position that you're talking to both, trying to get something across and try to, be the middleman. But remember, you're not really in the middle. Like you're really a convict at the end of the day, right? So play your position. But there was times when it was reasonable, because like as you come to the table, you have to also know where these people's standpoints are from.
Yeah.
Right. So that's how I became more strategic, and it helped me become more strategic with life when I came home too.
Okay. Did you ever feel like there was a point in time while because you did a long time, 8 years. Was there ever a point in time you was like, yo, man, forget this, man. I'm about to I'm doing something else. I'm going back. I'm messing with the guys again, or not even so much going back to those peers, but just, I'm gonna go home and sell drugs. I don't need them. I could do it this way. Something that was off, that took you off course. Did it ever happen? Did you have those?
Not really. Only like around the time when I was about to come home. And I like, I kept having like altercations with certain people, with my peers. And I feel like they was targeting me because I was at a very sensitive time where I'm like 1 month, 2 months ready to come home. And I feel like it was like nitpicking. Yeah. I'm like, what are you nitpicking on me for?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then, I would like, I don't want to, all right, you cool, whatever. You got it, And I think it was one person that really, really got me there. I was like, oh yeah, you tested me. And then somebody had to remind me, like, yo, this is bigger. What you're going for is bigger. And I think that was like the point, and I was not thinking at that point it was all or nothing. I was like, I'm just tired. Yeah. Right? I'm just tired because if I don't make you an example, then I'm going to keep being, so, but I had to realize that, like, yo, you're not in the game anymore. Yeah. So it's now you're on a different level. You're a civilian now. You're not in the game no more. I had to keep telling myself that, So every transition, I always have to remind myself what position I'm in compared to the position others are in. Yeah. So I don't keep putting myself in the wrong predicaments.
Yeah, that's good. That's good advice right there. I never thought of that. That's how I should do things too. I want to let you know though that we all go through that before we come home.
Mhm.
Everyone's annoying. Everything is out to get us. For me personally, it wasn't until I gave away my clothes. Like once I started giving away clothes and giving away stuff, I was like, yo, I'm not joking. I'm not with you guys. Like whatever. Sit in the front. I don't care. Like it became whatever to me. But okay, so now you're home. So when you came home now, what was you planning on doing when you got home?
When I came home, I already had in my mindset I was gonna do personal training.
Okay.
I already did all my certifications while incarcerated.
Okay.
Doing and then on top of that, I was also focused on probably doing motivational speaking and writing.
So you was doing all three when you came home. Did you find that it was easy to do all three, or how'd that work when you first came home? You came home now, walk me through it. You came home, said you're gonna be a personal trainer. You got your certificate. You showing up, ready to go. Did you get a job, or were they like, get out of here? How'd it go?
I came home. I wanted to make money so fast, so I applied for personal training positions. But I was like, man, whatever the job is, I'll take it because I just want to make money.
Yeah.
Right. I wanted to make money, and I didn't want to have my mindset like I didn't want to get in the mindset of like just jumping into anything or getting distracted by the wrong activities.
Yeah.
So I found a job every trip, like, as fast as I could. So I did a little bit of construction. Yeah, I did a little bit of like bringing the meat, deli meats, the boyheads meats to the stores and helping them pack fridges, whatever it was. But so that's really what I did. And then after a while, I started to develop the skill to get in the right position for me to do what I really wanted to do. I even went to school, but school was not in the agenda, even though I was already taking college courses. It was not an agenda to jump right back into it. So I did a lot of things before I actually got into the motivational speaking and personal training the way I really wanted to.
Okay. So what about those things that did you get fired from them things? Did you just say like, yo, this ain't for me? Like what made you focus back in? Because I'm getting that you wanted to do personal training, you came home, but you came home, you had to do what's necessary.
Yeah.
And then you never went back into personal training. So these things life became easier. Like how did you got five from there? But how you just like?
I get it. So with that, it was like first I was waiting for that call for personal training because I was applying at gyms, and I aced the interviews, but when they get the background, it was a different story. They always say it's not because of the background, but it's because of the background, right? And I just did, and then I felt like all I had to do was stick to the plan because the plan was to actually join a specific gym for personal training at the time. And once I did that, I got the job. So it was something I planned even when I was incarcerated. I knew what gym I wanted to work when I was incarcerated. So it was that, and then with the other jobs, I just wasn't comfortable because it's not for me.
Yeah.
Right. So when something's not for you, it's not in your nature, you just don't. You can never get comfortable.
That's deep. I think that's in my life right now. But okay, so you did so you had a plan. You knew you wanted to work for this gym. You came home, life distracted you. When you got back on that plan, things started to work out.
It worked. Exactly.
So you started working for the gym, then what?
Then I had like a couple gigs to do motivational speaking. And from there, and that was only through like, one of my former professors, Boz Drosinger. At the time, she like was plugging me in everywhere I need to be, as far as networking is concerned. So with that being said, that's how I was able to get the motivational speaking going.
Okay.
But then I felt like I needed to develop more to be a better speaker. So I just started focusing on doing more of the work as far as personal training.
You started doing more of the
work as far as personal training, like focusing more on personal training.
Okay, to help
to help build that, because I feel like the motivation was my story, but like I didn't have enough to say what happened after.
Okay.
So I need to build that, and that's when I started focusing on building boot camps, teaching other people how to help other people, and teaching people nutrition and so forth. So now I was building the narrative. I feel like now that's what's gonna make my motivational speaking better.
how was parole during? She was on parole, right? So
Yeah.
how was parole during this time where you were working, trying to get it together, doing this stuff?
At certain points it was difficult, but not as difficult because I've always told myself is I put myself in a position. So, I always when my parole officers was changed, I always like get straight to the point. Hey, what do you expect from me? If you're different from the other one, I'm gonna really be strict on your curfew. Cool. But this is what I do, right?
Yeah.
So I always show them what I do. And if I needed something extra, I always email.
Yeah.
Because I was always trying to show them that I was serious about mine. And I was professional. So I wouldn't say it was that lenient, but it's like, why waste time with a person that's like on it?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I was on it. It's like, I'm not gonna let you jam me up or put me in a predicament where, I could lose everything I'm working hard for. And I think they felt that because I explained that to them.
Yeah.
I'm not willing to lose.
Yeah.
So I'm willing to do whatever it takes for me not to lose.
So they went on top of knuckleheads.
Yeah. This guy
to set him up.
Yeah.
They're not that bad people. Like how we think that they wasn't that bad.
Yeah,
they
wasn't
trying to put you in jail.
Yeah, I just like I said, I started to learn even while I was in prison. You have to learn people's positions.
Yeah.
And you have to understand where people come from.
You said that,
You know what I mean? So because I understood where they was coming from and that preconceived notion that they might have of me, which I'm not really sure about, I made sure that I always came on the table asking when it was expected of me. It's not assuming.
Yeah, that's good. What surprised you on this journey? When you came home, things that happened that might have happened negatively or reactions from other people that weren't as positive as you thought it would be. Like what surprised you negatively when you came home on this journey?
That's a great question. I never really expected anything.
Oh, okay.
So it was hard for me to be like, to be surprised because I never really expected anything. During my journey home, I already felt like, from like, the time where I felt like I wanted to do something different and I had planned out what I was going to do when I came home. I already felt nobody thought that could be a reality.
Oh, okay. So you had all the odds stacked against you.
Yeah. So that's why I was like, you know what? When I came home and I was doing what I had to do, it wasn't like surprising somebody if they were doubting me.
Yeah. So then that's the other part of it then. So what surprised you? Since you wasn't expecting nothing, what then surprised when people helped you or other things stepped up or things happened? What surprised you? Like, wow, you really do believe. People really do.
I think what surprised me was the aspect of like, I was talking about like Boz Drasinger. Okay. My former professor who became a real close friend was the consistency of putting me in position.
Okay. Yeah.
Working on putting me in position, working on helping me network. I think that really like surprised her in a positive state because even though she said she was going to do it, even though I know she was doing it for people, but she was adamant to keep on doing it, right? And she still do it to this day. Yeah. So, so that's like, I think that's surprising the consistency a person has, even when they're not benefiting.
So do you think she's been instrumental to your success?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Other people too, or just?
Yeah, of course. My mom, my little sister, you know what I'm saying? Other people too, my wife, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, there's other people, and then, my team, like the team I have that I built since I've been from after incarceration, because like I said, I have a company that I work with where I have my own business with them. And, I've built a couple of mentors who, see me during parole, right? And would like make sure they had my back.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, you need help or anything, certain things I couldn't do after my curfew.
Yeah.
They would be willing to do it.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? So when you have people that start to understand you, you notice that, man, all you have to do is love people. People will love you back. Yeah. I think those little things like that excited me, but surprised me like, wow, I should have been doing this back in the days, right? But, but everything happens for a reason. They created the captain I am now.
Okay, that's great. So you got a wife now?
Yeah.
And kids?
And kids, 2 boys.
So how do you balance that? no one can ever really tell you what happens with kids. They can tell you, but they can never really tell you.
Right.
So you got kids. How do you balance work and family? Is it hard? Is it easy? You're still working on it? Like,
I'm still working on it. It's very difficult. Honestly, it's very difficult because, sometimes you could get in the mindset like, I got to make a lot of money in order for my kids to have, right?
Yeah.
And then, that's been like my difficult parts in life. But what I tend to realize, like, I remember hearing stories while I was incarcerated. I used to ask certain people, why are you incarcerated? I was doing it for my family. And I'm like, you was doing it for your family. Your family would have rather you been home.
Yeah.
Working 9 to 5. As long as you would have given them time, they would have been happy. Kids don't know the difference when it comes to money and time. To them, you making $500,000 compared to $100 every week. They don't know the difference. As long as you're with them, you give them that time and attention. So I had to really realize, like, wow, I'm really making money. It's not really for my kids. And once I started realizing that, I said I need to start investing more in time. And then it's the same thing with my wife. Also, not having time for her sometimes. So, but I've actually been working on it, it's still a work in progress and learning from my mentors who are successful. They're like, yo, you got to have time for everything. Like, family needs to be on a schedule too. Yeah. Right? Just like business is on the schedule. Yeah. And you got to learn how to separate those things sometimes. And, that's the balance that I'm working on. So
you got to prioritize family. You can't have family like after business is done. I found a little time for
family.
No,
exactly.
This is the amount of time.
This have for family. Exactly.
I have to make family a priority.
Yes, you have to put them in that calendar.
And your wife works with you, right? She has the same type of thing. You got her involved.
Yes.
She's been involved.
I got her involved. My wife worked with me, so she does like a lot of the Herbalife nutrition stuff that we do. She does that part of it. And she also do like, body sculpting and so forth. But even when she works with me, right, she's like, yo, I need my man, not my business partner. Right? Yeah. She's be like, babe, you talking about business? It's like, like a night. Like,
that's the
chill. So it's also with that too, even when they work with you, they understand, but sometimes it could be like, I don't understand because you're dragging it. You're bringing it home every day. When do we close the chapter? Yeah, and then,
I get that.
So
I think Tom Brady's gonna do that with his wife. I've seen.
I wouldn't be surprised. He's a workaholic.
Yeah, she's like, when you're gonna work, when you come home. Like, you keep doing this over and over. But anyway, before I ask you what advice you have for others, how does your mom feel now? Because you started saying your mom's crying. She was very worried about you, and it hurt her. But you've been in it. Now you're home. Now you're successful. Now you're thriving. You're moving forward, and this is not your ceiling. I imagine you have much more in store, and you're still building. So, how do you think she feels now?
I asked her that honestly. Like that was like I think I asked her like 6 months ago, and she said, "Yeah, because sometimes I don't know how she feels." Yeah. I mean, she ain't crying. You know what I'm saying? But I'm like, all right, that's cool. But I asked her, and she was like, "Yo, she's actually proud. She's actually happy, but she's always looking now, like, because I'm such a person with vision. She always looking now into like, okay, how can I invest in you? Oh, okay. That's her biggest thing is like because she see like I have this unwavering feeling like I cannot settle to be average. Like I just cannot. Yeah. So it's always like, okay, how can we invest in you? Yeah. So that's always that feel good moment when people's like, yo, I want to invest in you. Yeah. What would it take for you to be where you want to be? Yeah, that's correct. I mean, so seeing that and thinking about that all the time is like, wow. Okay. So that's an amazing feeling.
That is a good feeling. Your parents really, because I don't know if you personally felt like this, but I know when I was incarcerated, I kind of felt like I let them down. Like they did a lot, they tried a lot. We are both Caribbean, we're not right. So it's like they came here with hopes of making their children American dream and come to jail. And they didn't teach us to go to jail. It wasn't like I don't know. Was your parents more into the streets, or
no?
This is something you picked up on your own?
Was never in the streets. I picked this on my own.
Yeah, see, me too. My parents were regular people, so it's like I didn't teach you to do street stuff. how'd you get in jail?
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm saying? Like, then I'm proud. But yeah, that's good. That's a good feeling.
Yeah.
So what advice do you have for others?
People that's coming home, or people that's home, or just people in general?
People that I don't want this to be a big 3-point question, but I just want like people coming home. Let's just go. People that coming home from incarceration, like.
All right. For people that's coming home from incarceration,
general advice, and then give us some advice to get into your field too.
Right.
General advice.
General advice I would give is that don't rush. And what I mean by that is like, I know a lot of times it was like, I gotta go and get to this money. And I'm like, oh, I get you. But when you was incarcerated, your people's making it happen for you regardless.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you don't really have to rush and get to the money. That's an illusion.
Yeah, you're right.
And I mean, so if your girl was riding with you for 4 or 5 years, she could wait a year to 6 months while you figure it out.
Yeah.
Don't just jump into anything. Like, really stick to your plan, right? If that person was there for you for 4 years, they can wait for 6, you know what I mean? 6 months to a year until you figure out really what you're doing. And, and be productive. Don't just rush into something because you feel like this is something I have to do, but do it because, it's going to be worth it.
Yeah. Don't just rush into a job just because. Like,
yeah.
And ignore everything else.
Yeah.
Or don't just rush to the street because you want to get your son Jordan.
Exactly. So just take the time, like, dissect things. Like, okay, I'm home. Because, we just came from trauma.
Yeah.
So you have to really sit down and really see, like, what's your temperament with people look like. What if how it feels, so give yourself a couple of weeks to really see where you're at. It might not be 6 months.
Yeah.
So you don't feel like, you're just jumping into things and you're not happy. Right? Okay. So if people say willing to work with you and be there for you that whole time, I don't think they're in a rush.
Yeah.
Right. As long as you're not doing nothing crazy.
Yeah, as long as you're not sitting home
smoking weed all day.
Playing whatever.
But if you focus on, being productive, going to the library, learning different resources, because I even go to the library still to this day, because I'm always trying to learn something new. Yeah. And that's my time of peace, So yeah.
So what about people trying to get into your field that want to get into, which you had said something before, personal wealth. Right?
Yeah.
You said personal wealth.
So people that's trying to get into my field, I think the best way to be the best in my field is it's not really about the working out aspect. Mm-hmm. And you have to really, really love helping people. Yeah. Yep. You got to really be genuine about it. I think a lot of times, that's what's like, a lot of times that's what separates me. It's not the idea because I'm the best weightlifter. I'm the best personal trainer when it comes to books or certification or degree. Mm-hmm. It's more of like, no, this guy genuinely love to see people successful around him. Right? So if you genuinely love seeing people successful around you, it's going to work. But if you genuinely love yourself, right? Because if you can't give nobody more than what you give yourself, I don't believe in that. No. So if you genuinely love building yourself, love challenging yourself, you'll be a great trainer. You'll be a great health coach, motivator, whatever it is. And for all the other people, right, who are not incarcerated, you may be incarcerated because incarceration is a mentality.
Oh, deep,
right? Because when I was incarcerated, after a while, I felt like I was not in jail. Yeah. I would walk around, good morning, I would iron my clothes and put creases in my pants, even though I'm like, I don't know, I'm still acting like I'm old, right? I'm still young. Yeah. But as certain things I was already doing that I was practicing. So when I came home, I fell in so naturally. Yeah. I didn't have people that said, wow, you never look like you came from anywhere. You look like you've been here. Yeah. Right? Because I was free after a time. So that's why when I was dealing with the parole officer, I wasn't dealing with the parole officer as my parole officer. I was dealing with the parole officer as an employer. Yeah. Right? It's just the mindset. My mindset just started shifting from in there. So right now you might be incarcerated in your mind, meaning that you might be limited. You might not be living to your fullest. Yeah. Right? You might just be waking up every day and doing the same things, going to work, going to school, but don't really have a purpose. You just, So for people like that, man, just start to take the time out for yourself too. Even if it's just waking up 10 minutes earlier a day and working on yourself, something that's going to be personal for you. That's a way of freeing yourself also.
Just 10 minutes. 10 minutes will do it too.
Yeah.
Let's start. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, so how can people reach you? Tell them how they can reach you, how they can get involved with you, how they can help you, support you.
I have an Instagram, incredible underscore molding, MOLDING_fitness. That's one way. Or my email, incredible molding fitness @gmail.com.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, man. This has been a great interview.
Anytime for you, buddy.